happening, everybody? We got a good show for you.
It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday, huh?
Yeah, but they'll see this Wednesday.
Okay,
maybe,
Wednesday.
depending on what James does.
We have a great show for you. Later on, for all you people that see the title, we've got John Hackleman.
Via Skype.
If you guys don't know who John Hackleman is, he trained Chuck Liddell, and he trains a lot of great MMA fighters.
McGee, Ramsey Najim,
yes,
whatever his last name
that is later on in the show. And for all you Mayweather fans out there, I think you guys will be interested to hear what he has to say. So you guys should definitely stick around. Now, moving on to the other things before we get to MMA, we're going to start about this.
Real quick, good luck to Reckless Sports. It's an uphill battle. I wish you two the best of luck because I can't understand a damn thing either one of you are saying. Now,
did you just cause us to lose a fan? Because you do shit like that.
No, it's two English dudes who are trying to copycat our show, and that's fine. Because what is it? Something is the sincerest form of flattery?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Whatever. What they're trying to do.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, hats off to you. Good luck. It's tough. It's not easy.
Now, let's talk about the big
Let's talk about college football. It's going fucking batshit crazy.
Well, it's the conferences.
Oklahoma said, we'll stay, but we need some provisions. Because they looked over at that TV deal Texas had and said, we ain't got that.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Texas says we're going to do everything. We're going to take the Longhorn Network with us, and Oklahoma's not too happy about that.
No. That's news out of the Big 12. Because I'm good at cutting Kevin off. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma and Texas were talking about going to the Pac-12. But then there's this thing that the Texas to stay when all those a team jumped ship? When Nebraska left.
Abandoned ship, kind of like the Titanic.
Yeah, when Nebraska left, Texas said we'd stay if we had this Texas network and got more money than everyone else. Well, that was cool for about 8 months.
Right.
Now Oklahoma's going, what?
Oklahoma has basically come out because the Big 12 has managed to lose Nebraska. They've managed to lose Texas, A&M, Colorado.
A&M's not gone yet. A&M wants out, but Baylor put a suspension up.
Is it Tech that's out? No, A&M is gone now.
No, A&M's not gone yet.
They're not?
No, because Baylor has yet to. They need this revision first. Before everyone said that A&M can go except for Baylor. Baylor said, no, you don't. It's not till we find out what Oklahoma's doing.
Well, the bottom line is Oklahoma is everybody's waiting on for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma has basically said that the Big 12 commissioner, has managed to let 3 teams go. Mm-hmm. So we're not even going to consider staying unless you hire somebody else. You fire that guy and put somebody else because they want somebody that's going to be able to keep those schools intact in the Big 12.
We're talking about Texas, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State are all like ready to bounce,
right.
all to the Pac, whatever.
Right.
And the Pac, whatever it will be the Pac 16. They're talking about making 4 pots, 4, 4, 4, and 4.
Right.
Texas Tech would leave, so then that would leave Big 12, and the Big 12 were like, well, we'll just merge with the Big East,
right?
Because the Big East got people going deuces,
right? Well, yeah, Syracuse and Pitt are officially in the ACC. They're gone.
Did you see the provisions on that?
Yeah, it's whack.
25 months, and they have to pay $5 million to bounce?
But there's something that says they can get out of that. Now, they'll have to probably pay a little bit more money to bounce early, which they will definitely do.
Good.
Now, the other thing is that you've got all of a sudden the possibility of UConn and Rutgers also coming over to the ACC.
Let me tell you right now, in the ACC, I'll take Rutgers to get UConn.
Right, huh?
I'll take Rutgers to get UConn.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'll take UConn, and you know what? Notre Dame's like, if we have to, we'll go to the ACC.
Yeah, because, I mean, if they can't remain independent, they've also said they'll go to the ACC. But I'm going to tell you what, the ACC in basketball will be phenomenal. Now,
we got into a discussion with Kerry, and at the time, I didn't have the ammo to battle Kerry, and I wasn't really thinking it out. And he says, the Big East putting 9 teams in the tournament is not a reflection and them losing, because they had 9 teams in a tournament, and after round 1, 7 of them lost.
Kerry is a good friend of mine.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, that's not a reflection on the conference. And at the time, I just kind of sat there because I was tired of arguing with folks. And you know what? It is a reflection on your conference. It shows that you can beat up the teams in your conference, but as soon as you step outside of it, you don't do too well.
Then you're struggling, right?
So I think they were overrated last year.
Right.
Because if you had 9 teams go in and 2 left after the first round, what happened?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And I wasn't in the mood to argue with Kerry, and hopefully he'll be here this Saturday for the Jon Jones fight, and we can take it up again. But it's been a long week dealing with you people.
Right. Now, I'm going to tell you what, with this with the possibility of having 4 super conferences, I think a lot of people think this is fucked up, this whole fiasco and everybody jumping ship and switching conference. I think that having these super conferences can be good for college football. And why I think this is because there's no playoff system in college football right now. And now you're going to look at all these teams that are not going to be able to go undefeated. If you pick up a loss at the beginning of the season, there's more than likely another team in your conference that's going to get a loss. So we're going to see the right teams playing each other, because people are probably going to probably have 1 or 2 losses.
Because you're potentially looking at 3 conferences of 16 teams.
Right.
16 in the Pac-16. You're going to have 16 in the SEC, because they're not going to get left out. And then you have 16 in the ACC.
And then another one in the Big East or Big 12 if they combine.
Big 12. So that leaves the Big 10's got to be going, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because they're what, the Big 12? They have 12 teams now.
Well, yeah, 12. I mean, so you're going to have the ACC, the Big 10, the ACC, the Big 10, SEC, and the Pac. Now, if the Big East, if Big 12 kind of falls apart and they absorb the rest of the teams in the Big East, which they're talking about doing, then you'd have 5 super conferences.
Well, no, because you'd only have 3, really. I mean, you'd have the Pac-16, you'd have the Big 16, which would be the Big 12. You'd have the SEC and the ACC, all 4 of those, but then the Big 10 would have to add people.
Well,
they
the Big
only
10
have 12.
is
They'd have to add 4 teams.
I'm sure they could probably get somebody.
Yeah, and then here's my question: what happens to Texas Christian University, which you so elegantly put last show?
They would go back into the Big 12 because they'd be absorbed. They would also go into Big 12. Dude,
college sports is going crazy.
It's just nuts. Now,
I agree with you. I think this is good for you folks who are happy for a playoff system. I think with 5 or 6 giant conferences, you're right. I mean, Oklahoma has 2 losses. How can they all of a sudden get passed over?
I think with all this shit going on, with everything breaking down, I think now is the time that you put in a playoff system, because so much shit is fucked up. You might as well just start fucking fresh and put in a playoff system now. Now, we're going to get out of that because we got a long-ass show. Real quick, Mariano Rivera
is now the baddest man on the planet.
Set the saves record. A lot of people kind of like don't want to give this man a credit. Let me tell you something. The guy is, you know, people say, well, he's not a regular pitcher. He's a closer, so he does. It doesn't matter. Being a closer is a different type of pitching game. Okay, maybe you don't have the arm to be a starter and stuff, but the bottom line is this: you've got the fucking nerves to come in there and close the game. It's just like kicking a winning field goal. It's a lot of stress on you.
How about Robert Ory? Robert Ory, towards the end of his career, wasn't playing 30 minutes. He played 8, and in that 8 minutes, he scored 6 points. It just happened to be the game-tying 3 and the go-ahead 3. Yep. Does that make him a terrible player because he only played 8? Mariano Rivera, somebody complained, well, he only came in and pitched 1 inning and threw 13 pitches. Okay.
That motherfucker threw burners, and you know what's funny? He threw the same fucking pitch.
He only has 2 pitches.
2 pitches,
a fastball and cutter.
Yeah.
And that's all he's ever had. Yeah. And he has 602 saves.
602 as of right now.
It's a position in baseball. How can you not give him credit? It's not like I don't know.
I'm one that's definitely for having, you know, you have the Cy Young for the best pitcher. I think they should have a closer award every year, and it should be called the Rivera Award. That's what I think. I think that once he retires, they should have an award. Rolades. Now, let's move on to the NFL really quick. And we're going to talk about your boys.
Tony Romo's a beast. That's all I'm going to say. And not just because he's my fantasy quarterback, because that motherfucker looked at John Kitna and went,
you're killing us. I can't breathe.
I'm going back in. That's how rotten John Kitna is, that they brought back in their quarterback who had a cracked rib and a punctured lung.
Now, with all you Cowboy fans out there wondering if Romo's going to start Monday night, don't get too happy.
I would.
Because it's a very dangerous situation what he has right now. I mean, having a punctured lung is not something to be fucking around with. I cannot see them letting him play Monday night.
It's not important. If this was week 10 or 12 and they needed the wins, maybe it's time to see that other kid, McGee, because Kitna stinks.
Yeah.
He's just not, I mean,
he's
not a good second quarterback in my opinion. But
now, speaking of more quarterbacks in the NFC East that got hurt, your boy Mike Vick, which you said right off the bat, we did an over and under. I said, I had what? Was 10 was the over under? I said over 10 or over, I win. So he's already fucking it up because he's probably not going to start this week. So George and I had a bet. Would Mike Vick play over or under 10 games? George took the under. I took the over. I took the over only because the motherfucker's my fantasy quarterback, because I don't really give a fuck about Mike Vick because I'm a Redskins fan.
Now, this might catch Kevin off guard, but this is my honest, true opinion. Michael Vick is a phenomenal athlete. He's a rotten quarterback. And what I mean by that is somebody who's played the sport before and has been a lineman, you need to hold your block for 3 to 4 seconds. And in the NFL, that's an eternity.
Right.
Well, see, the thing is, when you're a lineman and you're blocking for a drop back passer, you know he's right there.
Right.
Problem is if you're blocking for Michael Vick, Michael Vick could be there. He could be here. He could be there. It's hell.
It's hell. It's not only hell on the linemen. It's hell on the receivers because they run a fucking route and
they look back and and I think that was Kafka came in and did, in my opinion, a phenomenal job under pressure.
Right.
And for you people who think the Eagles are rotten, the Eagles were dominating that game. I think their defense needs a little more credit than they're getting. They've played back-to-back road games. I can't tell you how many other teams in the NFL have done that, but they won their first one in St. Louis. I know you people are saying they're 0-2. They're not that bad of a football team. They probably win their division. That's how bad their division is.
Right. Their division is fucked up.
I think
Arizona's in their division.
Yeah. I think the Eagles are still going to be fine, even with Kafka. Me personally, I'd rather see Kafka at quarterback because I prefer the drop back passer. Yes, it's boring, it's not as fun, but you hand the ball to McCoy. Macklin had a hell of a game up until the drop. Deshaun Jackson has a strained buttocks and some other ailment. But
the thing is the Eagles are going to be fine, and there's a couple of reasons the Eagles are going to be fine because they're a well-coached team. They've got a lot of great personnel, and the bottom line is right now there's only 7 teams that have not had a loss in the NFL as of right now. There's only 3 teams in the NFC that are 2-0.
Your boys.
My boys, the Lions, who no one would have thought. No one would have thought the Skins and the Lions would be 2-0, and basically the Packers in NFC.
I don't think the Packers are surprising anyone, but like I told Kevin, the Redskins' defense is going to win them some games they probably have no business winning, and it's going to get you right out of the Andrew Luck sweepstakes.
Yeah, it really is going to get us out of sweepstakes. Now, another reason that the Eagles are in good shape, because there are going to be loads of injuries in the NFL. We've seen so many injuries because that shortened training camp, and it is just unbelievable how many players are going down.
Did anyone see that hit Dante Robinson?
That shit was crazy.
Dude, fuck the $40,000 fine. Just forget that. Suspend him.
Yeah, you got to
suspend him for a game without pay.
Yeah.
$40,000, maybe that is his game day check, but that's not going to get the message clear. He didn't even attempt to. He looked at him, lowered his head like this, and used it as a weapon. Right. That shit needs to stop.
$40,000 is nothing for those guys. A game paycheck is a lot more money, but not only is it a lot more money, if you're the guy that throws the hit and I'm your teammate, I'd be like, dude, now what the fuck, man? You're out next week.
Right.
Your players are going to lean on you a little bit. Eventually, they're going to lean on you because you're not going to be around to be a part of the team.
And we understand it's a violent sport and people are going to get hit hard, but he made no attempt to use his shoulder. He didn't do this. He had both of his hands down at his side, put his head down, and went like this right through
MX missile shit.
Right through Macklin's chin. I'm surprised Macklin came back.
Do you remember that game, Missile Command?
He looked like Ortiz.
Ortiz did jump up into it, fucking Mayweather.
That was not a little headbutt.
Robot. Yeah. Now, I know it's early, and everybody says it's early, but
back-to-back games.
Back-to-back games. Cam Newton has looked impressive. Okay, he had 3 picks this weekend, but I'm going to tell you what, the guy is fucking putting up yards. And the most important thing is he is my fantasy quarterback that is on my bench and will now not be on my bench because Mike Vick is busted up.
Now,
with that being said, what do you think?
The other thing impressive that I find impressive is what Cam Newton is saying off the field.
Yeah.
Cam Newton says, does it come down to the decisions, and I need to make better decisions. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's go back and look at Jamarcus Russell. Let's go back and look. Yes, I understand. I praise Vince Young, but he's not all. And let's look at Vince Young. Look at their statements. They both thought they were God's gift to football. Yeah. Vince Young's getting a second chance, and Jamarcus Russell is sipping syrup, getting busted.
What about Ryan Leaf?
I mean, the list can go on and on and on.
Speaking of old-ass quarterbacks that just were fucking busts, Art Schlichter got sentenced. You guys probably don't remember who Art Schlichter is, but he was a stud quarterback for Ohio State back when the Model T first hit the fucking roads. You might want to Google his name. That motherfucker came out of college and just could not stop betting short. He's Pete Rose's uncle. Okay.
What is an Art Schlichter?
That
sounds like a bad leisure suit.
It's a bad leisure suit, and he's going to be wearing that motherfucker in jail for the next 10 years. Now, what of all our MMA followers have been waiting for, we're going to go real quick to our Skype, and we got
Jon
Hackelman.
So sit back
and enjoy.
All right, folks. We have a special guest.
Okay? Yep. We got you on Hack. We got a special guest via our Skype hotline. And it's Jon Hackelman. Many of you people know him. He's the owner of The Pit. Hack, how many locations you got now?
We got The Pit. We got a bunch. There's I have The Pit Vegas and The Pit Aurora Grande, which is the headquarters. And then those are mine. And then we got the Pit Utah now,
Right.
which we're all combining forces to run. That's where Court McGee them train.
Right.
And we got Jason running that one with Todd. And then there's a bunch of affiliate gyms, like, there's 35 of them around the country. One in England, which Mark Weir, remember Mark Weir?
Yeah.
He fought in the UFC a couple times.
Right.
He's got a pit in England. We got a pit in Canada, and then we all the way East Coast, West Coast.
Right.
So all over. So
you guys are
35
like
affiliate gyms, and then we have like 3 main ones right now.
right.
All right, now, the reason you're on today's show is to discuss one thing and one thing only. That's the Floyd Mayweather debacle, travesty, depending on what side of the fence you stand on. What's your opinion on what went down?
Yeah. What about?
I have a clear cut opinion on that, and it kind of it's like it kind of bothers me a little on my opinion because I wanted to just trash on Mayweather. I've been hearing all this stuff about the fight, and Mayweather was out of line, and Mayweather was rude to this 80-year-old reporter. Oh, that poor thing. And then Mayweather hit this guy that basically they made it like the guy was looking the other way, and Mayweather cheap shotted him.
No, that was the ref that was looking the other way.
I watched the fight myself today, and number one, Mayweather was dominating him, frustrating him. It was a one-sided beating. The numbers showed all the stats showed that. And then the guy, he did a flagrant foul, which I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, it was like a mild kind of head thrust.
That
I don't think it was a big deal, but it was illegal.
Well,
right.
put it
And
this
you know
way.
what Mayweather did? When the guy came to hug Mayweather hugged him back and said, "Hey, no big deal." But then the referee called them both in the center of the ring, which was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of looked the other way, turned around, told them both to touch gloves and go ahead and fight. And when he said go ahead and fight, Mayweather had his hands up, and Ortiz just kind of looked down and left his hands down, and Mayweather hit him twice.
Right.
But the guy, he wasn't looking the other way. He was looking at Mayweather. He heard the referee said fight, but he kept his hands down. What should have Mayweather done? I mean, what if the guy was having his hands down and he was going to punch? I don't know. But
right.
the referee said fight. When in boxing or any combat sport, when the referee says fight, you start fighting. That's what you do. Whether the guy has his hands down, crosses his arms, puts his hands behind his head, whatever he does, when the referee says fight, you start punching him in the face.
Right.
And that's what Mayweather did.
Now,
right.
So if Mayweather happens to knock him out, that was not a cheap shot. It was not an illegal shot. It was perfectly fine. It was moral and ethical.
Right.
And I hate to say that because I don't usually like Mayweather.
Now here's what we want to ask you. Okay, let's say the roles were reversed, and Ortiz would have won the fight the way Mayweather did, and that would have been Mayweather's first loss. What do you think people would be saying?
They'd be. I think Mayweather haters would say, "Well, he got knocked out by a vicious straight right," and then his naysayers, which me being one of them, his advocates, which I'm not one of, would have said that was a cheap shot. I mean, you're going to have two sides,
right?
Any way you look at it, but if you look at it just pragmatically, right? If you look at it just by the rules, referee says fight, you fight.
Right.
So whether Mayweather did it to Ortiz or Ortiz did it to Mayweather, they both would have been in the right.
Right.
So I'm sure there's people that are going to complain and say, "Oh my God, Ortiz was winning, so Mayweather did that just so he could get,
right.
That's the only thing that saved him."
My stance on it, Hack, was I thought Mayweather was dominating the fight, but and I thought Ortiz got frustrated because of that when he had Mayweather up on the ropes and he couldn't land any really effective punches. He seemed like he got frustrated and he headbutted him. And then Mayweather on the break, it looked like they hugged, then they went to hug again. I mean, for some reason or another, Ortiz felt like he had to hug Mayweather again, but he had his hands down and all of a sudden Mayweather tagged him. Now he tagged him the first time, and then when he tagged him, Ortiz seemed to look over at the ref because he was stunned about it, and then Mayweather hit him with the shot that knocked him down. Now, you're right. I mean, that's legal. It's a legal shot. I thought it was a cheap shot only in the sense that Mayweather is a world-class boxer. You and I both know that. This guy is the best, one of the best fighters that we're going to see in our generation. Why not just finish the guy off and school him for the rest of the round and fight so there's no type of disputing or nobody, so we're not having the discussion we're having right now. You know what I mean? That's what I thought.
I mean, okay.
So
yes and no, but I mean, I saw what I saw. Maybe I only watched it like 1.5 times. I didn't keep going over it.
Right.
But what I saw was the guy got frustrated, just kind of like Tyson did with when he had to bite the ear because he was losing. So a lot of times the person would rather commit a foul and get fouled and lose the fight that way than getting knocked out. Right. So like when Tyson felt like he was going to get knocked out by Holyfield, he grabbed him, bit his ear, and he got it's better to get disqualified according to some people than lose and get knocked out, because then they save face and they go, hey, they stopped the fight. They can justify that in their own little brains. But
right.
I mean, to me, when Ortiz did that foul, I think he did. It didn't really connect.
Right.
So he didn't get disqualified. So of course he's gonna oh shit,
right.
It didn't work. Okay, I'll hug him. And I thought Mayweather was being very gracious, saying, "Hey, no problem, bro, no problem." And I thought when the guy said fight, he wasn't putting his hands out. I thought it was Mayweather put his hand up. They said fight. Mayweather started fighting. I mean, what's he supposed to wait for? Right. What if he got false cracked or cheap shotted, or what if he got caught by Ortiz and lost
right.
that way?
That's a good point.
So I don't think you should ever wait. If you have an opportunity, I think in a fight you should always take it, because true, he was schooling him, but I definitely don't think you should wait and let the other guy get the first shot in, because that could be the shot that ends the fight. So I think when he said fight, Mayweather saw an opening and he took it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So okay. So that's, and you know what, everybody out there, Hack Box. If you guys, for some of you people who are boxing fans that don't know who John Hackleman is, he's trained several great MMA athletes. One being Chuck Liddell. Now, speaking of that, in MMA, Hack, let's get to the point. What do you think about the upcoming bout this weekend with Jon Jones facing Rampage Jackson? What are your thoughts on that, and who do you have as a favorite?
Well, definitely Jon Jones is the favorite. I love both of those guys. I think they're both seriously skilled. I think Jones has more skill, but probably Rampage has more just brutal knockout power, even though Jones does too. So I don't know. I just because I like them both so much and I see them around all the time, I don't want to pick one. I never make a pick from two guys I really like, just because even if I think one's going to win and one's not, I think it's going to be a great fight, and I can't wait to see it. I hope no one gets hurt, but it'll be a great fight.
All right, now
let's talk about Letterman. What's the guy's name? Letterman? I keep forgetting his name.
What's wrong with
Larry Merchant?
Larry Merchant.
Yeah.
Hold on, real quick.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that irritated me too.
All right, let's come back to that. Now, what I want to ask you is you have run many training camps with many different MMA fighters. What truth do you think there's any to Rampage's accusations about having a spy in his camp for Jon Jones? I mean, do things like this actually happen? Is this something you have to worry about?
I've seen it happen.
Really?
I've seen it happen more than once.
Oh, okay. So maybe he has a point then. Now, do you think
I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying Jones did that. I just said I actually have personally seen that happen more than once.
Right. Okay.
Where one guy from a camp is reporting back to the other camp.
Now, does that actually give the other fighter a distinct advantage? I mean, I don't, because the big thing here was...
It could. Like, if there was one little thing they picked up on, it could. But usually, you can watch all of Tyson's fights. You can watch him train, and then when he gets in the ring, he can tell you, my strategy is I'm going to fake a couple jabs and knock you out with an overhand right, he would still be able to do it.
Right. Okay.
So I think a little edge here and there will work, but usually the better fighter will prevail.
Right. Okay. Now, get into your boy, because I know you have got a hard on about talking about this hack, Larry Merchant. So what were your thoughts about that?
First of all, I don't like Mayweather.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And I heard that he was verbally assaulting and brutalizing this poor old 80-year-old man who was just trying to give him an interview.
Right.
Then I watched it, and I realized a couple things. Number one, Merchant was just, you could tell he was just pushing. Right. And Mayweather was saying, hey, so the interview starts, and the first thing he says was, well, that was a cheap shot. Wow, why'd you do such a cheap shot? And then basically, I'm paraphrasing. Right. And then Mayweather goes, first thing I would do is I would thank the Lord. Mm-hmm. And so why is he thanking the Lord? The guy's got to be one of the most fucking unethical people in the world. In between fights, Pacquiao got elected president of his country. He wrote 6 bills. He saved 18 villages in the Philippines.
Right.
He wrote a book. He was in it. He made an album, and he was starred in a movie. Okay, that's between fights.
Right.
Mayweather got arrested 6 times. That's what he did between fights. So I mean,
well, Mayweather also had 2 years off, so he had a lot of time.
Anyway.
Okay.
But he's saying thank God, right. And then instead of just Merchant dropping it, he goes, "But you cheap shot him. Why did you cheap shot him? That was, you could have beat him, but you cheap shot him." And then instead of attacking him, Mayweather goes, "Well, I stick by the rules. They say protect yourself at all times. I hit him with a clean 1-2. I just did what I had to do." And then instead of just dropping it again, Merchant goes, "But that was a cheap shot. You fought cheap." He kept pushing him.
Like he was egging him on.
Goes, you're a shitty announcer. You should be fired, old man, or something like that. Not even a big deal. And then Merchant got to get the last word, so he turns around away from Mayweather. Goes, "Yeah, if I was 50 years ago, I would kick your ass." 50 years ago? I don't care if it's 50 years ago or 60 years ago. You wouldn't be able to kick Mayweather's ass if he was 20 and Mayweather was 80. What the hell was he talking about 50 years ago? 50 years ago, he was probably in freaking Indiana somewhere in a cornfield blowing his best friend or something. I mean, Larry, what is he, 50 years ago?
You know what's funny?
Kicking his ass, taking his lunch money.
See, anyway, you guys are really getting to witness the real hack. That's what we love about this guy. Did you know Larry?
Anyway, so I think in this case, in the post-fight interview and during the fight, I hate to say this, but I think Floyd Mayweather was 100% right in all of his actions. I don't think he made any rule infringements or impingements or broke any rules, both moral, ethical, or by the letter of the law.
Right.
That's what I gotta say.
Well, I respect that opinion, and that's I mean, because you box and you know what the rules are, and a lot of Mayweather fans are definitely on your side and argued that point. They were
I mean, if you've ever fought any sport, but I'll just say boxing, because that's what this one was. Inside of that ring, when the bell rings, there's a lot of dirty things going on. There's a lot of shoulders, there's a lot of elbows, there's a lot of headbutts, there's a lot of holding, there's a lot of low blows the referee can't see. It's an ugly place, and you gotta protect yourself at all times. And Mayweather was doing that. The referee said fight. He's a trained fighter. He started fighting.
Right.
Obviously Ortiz didn't want to fight anymore. That's why he tried to foul him to get disqualified. That didn't work. So he just kept his hands down. It's like when the referee said fight, he basically was saying, "I'm not going to fight anymore." Right. And that's what happens.
Right.
That's what I guess.
Cool. Well, look, man, we're going to wrap it up and stuff, and we're going to be back in touch. For all you people, we're going to have some links to Hackelman's blog. as well as some of the new facilities, so you guys can go check out Jon. Hack, we're out of here, brother.
All right, love you guys, man. I'll talk to you.
Take care, man. Later, bro.
Bye.
I tell you, man, Hack is a trip. The thing I love about Hack is he's real. You know, I mean, he'll tell you he does not like Mayweather. He's been very verbal about that, but he told you, hey, man, he was right.
He was looking for a reason to give Mayweather shit, and he watched it, and he like so many of you out there can look at it and go, okay,
yeah,
and say it and call it like he sees it.
Yeah, I called it like I thought it was a cheap shot, and my reason for calling it a cheap shot was I thought it was a cheap shot, and I'm not gonna. I thought it was a cheap shot. Not in the sense that it wasn't. Everybody, I think, a lot of people out there assume that George and I were Mayweather haters. No, we're not Mayweather haters. We just call things the way we saw it. I just saw his hands down, and I saw him hit Ortiz once, and then Ortiz turned at the ref, and then Mayweather took advantage of it. We never said it was a legal blow. We never said, I just said, man, it looked cheap because the guy wasn't defending himself.
One person made a comment on our video and said, Mayweather would have won anyway.
We know that.
And you know what? I agree. But if you think he would have won anyway, why wouldn't you want to see him win any other way than the way he did? That's all I'm getting at.
Right.
And we both understand it's legal. We both understand he didn't break any rules. We're not even touching that subject. What we're doing is we're looking at it as a human being to a human being. If I know I'm going to whip Kevin's ass every day of the week, period, end the story, and that's the way it was going. I mean, Ortiz had him up against the ropes. I was like, oh, cool, 1 or 2 shots, and then the headbutt. But if I know I'm going to whip your ass, why do I need to hit you when your hands are down?
This is a whole thing.
Whether it's in the rules or not.
Right. I don't think the thing with a lot of Mayweather fans is they get upset. And I understand, just like Floyd Mayweather got upset in the ring when Larry Merchant he got frustrated. Ortiz fucked it up at first. Ortiz sparked it off. We know that and stuff like this. But why not, if you're Mayweather,
be a bigger man?
Be a bigger man
because you've proven time and time again you're not.
Right.
Look at your like Hackelman said. Look at what this man does in between fights.
Right.
So honestly, I guess I wouldn't expect anything.
If he had kept his cool, okay, and reacted and fought beat Ortiz like true champions do, and which like everybody out there knew he could do, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion. No. Everybody would have been like, Ortiz was a bitch to headbutt and Mayweather fucking looked good.
Now, here's what Kevin and I want you to do. Just listen. Listen first. Type later. Okay? Just bear with us. For all you Mayweather fans, and one of you was honest that I saw. Mm-hmm. Kevin posed the question, what would you do if Mayweather's first loss would have been the way, like if Ortiz would have caught Mayweather the way Mayweather caught Ortiz. What if that's the way, if Ortiz would have hit Mayweather with both of his hands down at his side, two-pieced him, knocked him out, and that was his first loss, how would you would have reacted? And you know what the Mayweather fan said? That would have pissed me off.
Yeah, and it would have pissed me off. Mayweather's undefeated for a reason. He's a fucking phenomenal boxer. And for him to get a loss, you know what I'm saying? That way, people would have been disappointed. Would it have been legal? Absolutely would have been illegal. Would a lot of people consider it probably a cheap shot? Yeah, probably so. Most Mayweather fans. But the fact is that no one would want to see Mayweather get a loss like that.
Right.
In Scar's perfect record. So that's more what we were getting at. Anyway, we are out the fucking door. It is late, man. We love you guys. We will see you next week.